Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cole speaking to you Sunday evening, July 26th. Moving into week 6 of the 8-week term. Our exam 3 is coming up this Friday, July 31st, for 24 hours. And Thursday evening, the 30th, we will chat for 45 minutes at either 7 or 7:45, depending on your section. Watch for email and look at your course homepage for that announcement. The chat will be at either 7 o'clock or 7:45. We have a little more material for the final exam than for exam 3. So I'm taking about 10 days between the midterm and exam 3, and that will leave us about 2 weeks from exam 3 to the end of the term. We have a little bit more material in units 7 and 8 on the Supreme Court and Congress. So we'll take a little more time on that, and that will also give you time to work on your term papers if you want to do a term paper. So we will chat Thursday evening and then take our third exam all day Friday. Let me say just a word, a bit more than I did last week, about the material for exam 3, units 5 and 6. Unit 5 is on the presidency and unit 6 is on the federal bureaucracy. Now, most of our material is in Unit 5. Unit 6 is a pretty short unit. Let me say one thing in particular about the presidency. Let me stress, I'm not teaching you a course about Donald Trump. Now, we have to talk about Trump, of course, but in Unit 5, we're really talking about the presidency in general rather than Trump's presidency in particular, because Trump's presidency is distinctive in many respects. The president makes no bones about it. He doesn't really care all that much about the way his predecessors did things. So there's some things that we could say about the presidency in general that may not apply to Trump's presidency. And if you follow the news, the media at all, these are the kind of things you may be aware of. So keep that in mind as you look at Unit 5, we're talking about the presidency in general as opposed to Trump's presidency in particular. Now, some of the things we say may apply to Trump more than others. Okay, so just be aware that Trump's presidency is distinctive in many respects. He doesn't care all that much for the way the previous presidents have done things. So keep that in mind as you study the presidency in Unit 5. Now, Unit 6, as you see as you go through it, is a very short unit. And the shortness of Unit 6 really is why we have a bit less material for this exam than some of the others perhaps. Now, what we're doing in Unit 6 is we're going through the various units that make up the federal bureaucracy, the cabinet level departments, and many other entities that are not part of any cabinet level department. There are 15 cabinet level departments. Once we do that, we want to talk about the issue of the difficulty that presidents have managing the federal bureaucracy. Really, formally speaking, on the organizational chart, most all of the federal bureaucracy is within the executive branch, but we sometimes refer to it as the fourth branch of government, because there are millions of people working for the government in the federal bureaucracy, and presidents find the bureaucracy difficult to manage, if for no other reason than that it's so big. Furthermore, Republican presidents have perceived that the bureaucracy poses more of a problem for them than it does for Democratic presidents, because Republican presidents perceive a difference in political views between themselves and the people who make up the bureaucracy. Perhaps part of the reason for that is that we tend to expand the bureaucracy under Democratic presidents. The great expansion of the presidency, of the bureaucracy, took place decades ago under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and then Harry Truman after him. So presidents like Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan have perceived that the bureaucracy represents a force that's opposed to them, and so they need to rein in the bureaucracy. And that is especially true of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been quite explicit at viewing the federal bureaucracy as a hostile force. In fact, once again, if you follow the press, the news media, the news coverage of the administration at all, you know that some people think that within the bureaucracy there's sort of a so-called deep state that is hostile to President Trump. There's been a lot of intrigue about what happened within the bureaucracy, within such agencies as the FBI and the intelligence agencies during the 2016 campaign and into the early days of the Trump administration. The president, apparently himself, is extremely suspicious of this. And so people will speculate about a sort of a conspiracy within the deep state hostile to the president. So some of the things you read about in Unit 6 will be especially true of the Trump administration, because the federal bureaucracy has been perceived by Republican presidents, and Trump especially, as representing a force hostile to those Republican presidents. So keep that in mind as you look at Unit 6. So you'll have that, and also Unit 5 on the presidency for the exam. You have 4 articles to look at, 2 of which represent a sort of pro and con about the federal bureaucracy. Then you have one about the role of the political conventions during the presidential election campaign, and one about the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. One thing we do discuss in Unit 5 is the apparatus around the president to help the president, so that we speak of not just the president, but the presidency. All right, so that's what we're looking ahead to in Unit 5 and 6 for the exam on Friday. And we'll plan on chatting with you Thursday evening the 30th before the exam on Friday the 31st at either 7 o'clock or 7:45, depending on your section. So, good luck, take it easy, and if you want to take part in the chat, we plan on seeing you in the chat room at either 7 or 7:45 Thursday evening.